The grand hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with crystalline pillars and bioluminescent chandeliers that hovered midair, glowing faintly in hues of blue and gold. Representatives from over 100 star systems filled the tiers, their varied anatomies creating a mosaic of lifeforms: chitinous char, translucent gelari, scaled chari, and countless others, all unified in posture and tone as they smirked, scoffed, or simply stared in confusion toward the lone human standing at the speaker's platform. Dr. Alina Ray stood tall, her tailored navy blue exosuit subtly adjusting its temperature as beads of sweat formed at the nape of her neck. She was Earth's chosen envoy, a biologist and xenologist, armed with decades of data and a calm defiance that belied the mockery radiating from the chamber. A booming voice echoed through the chamber, originating from High Chancellor Zeltharn of the Verne Dominion. Earth seeks full recognition and defense partnership under Article 6. On what grounds does your primitive world base this request? Alina's lips barely curved. On the grounds that Earth, while young in interstellar diplomacy, offers unique biological assets no other system can match. A rustle of laughter rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Track of the Chari leaned forward, his scaled snout twitching in amusement. You mean your apex predators? Furred mammals and venomous insects? We've seen your archives. You wield tools, yes, but your fauna are savages, not soldiers. Alina tapped a panel, and a series of holographic images erupted behind her. A polar bear charging across ice fields, a jaguar dragging prey through jungle underbrush, a shark's maw tearing into a seal. The visuals flickered rapidly, accompanied by data overlays. Speed, bite force, pain tolerance, adaptability. I don't claim they are soldiers, she said evenly. I claim they are survivors. And survival, in its rawest form, is a weapon. Poetry, hissed a Gelari delegate, a jellyfish-like being suspended in a floating nutrient orb. Pretty, but irrelevant. We engineer survival. We don't bow to it. That's precisely the problem, Alina said. You've forgotten what uncurated nature looks like. We haven't. Earth never let us. The chamber fell into a brief, contemplative silence. Then Track grinned, revealing rows of triangular teeth. Fine. Prove it. We allow a trial. Your species may submit one specimen against one of ours. Non-lethal, controlled environment. If your so-called predator survives 5 minutes, we'll open review proceedings. Accepted, Alina replied before the Chancellor could interject. Our submission will be ready within 1 rotation. When Alina stepped off the dais, her assistant, a younger analyst named Bren, followed her with rapid steps, whispering, Are we sending a lion? A silverback gorilla? Maybe one of the engineered war dogs? No, she said, her tone final. We're sending a honey badger. Bren blinked. A what? They wanted raw nature. Let's give it to them. By the time the trial began, news had spread across half the Council territories. Galactic feeds spun up live coverage, tagging the event as a novelty. Earth's challenge, beast versus bioweapon. Viewership reached record numbers. On an uninhabited moon designated C9, a biosphere dome had been constructed, trees, terrain, and obstacles arranged like a crude jungle simulation. A quadruped platform hovered above, loaded with medical units and containment drones. Inside the arena waited the Chari predator, bred for warfare, nearly 8 feet tall at the shoulder, with violet-scaled armor, acidic saliva, and double-jointed legs built for pouncing. Its claws were titanium-reinforced bone. It was a living engine of death. And opposite it, in a shaded corner beneath a synthetic shrub, stood something that looked like an overgrown rodent. Coarse black and white fur. Stocky build. Small, alert eyes that blinked slowly, unfazed. It sniffed the air, claws twitching. Some in the crowd thought it was a joke. Others wondered if this was some kind of last-minute Earth protest. The broadcast captions labeled it, *honey badger, Mellivora capensis terrestrial carnivoran. Height, 28 centimeters. Mass, 14 kg. The signal blared. The trial began. The Chari beast roared and launched forward, its muscled form shaking the ground with every step. The honey badger didn't flinch. It moved a few steps sideways, fluid and unhurried, as if ignoring the towering monster. Then it attacked. The motion was too fast for some cameras to catch in detail. The badger darted low, beneath the creature's snapping jaws, raking sharp claws across the unarmored portion of its rear leg. The beast yelped and pivoted, striking out with a taloned paw that barely grazed the darting blur. The badger twisted midair, sunk its teeth into the creature's exposed ankle joint, and hung on as the predator tried to shake it off. Acidic spittle dripped down the badger's back, but the animal's loose skin and thick fur shielded it. It released its grip only to leap upward again, now targeting the throat. Inside the control room, alien monitors spiked in warning. Heart rate fluctuations, stress responses, escalating aggression, and from the honey badger, a steady pulse, undisturbed. The creature was enjoying this. Council members stared in disbelief as the arena shifted from a showcase of technological superiority into a brutal lesson in tenacity. The badger's strikes were surgical, not clean, not elegant, but devastating. Tendons slashed, eyes targeted, pressure points found and exploited. At one point, the Chari beast managed to pin the badger with a forearm. A collective gasp rose across the spectators. But the honey badger twisted, its bones compressing in ways that shouldn't be possible, and bit directly into the creature's armpit, a soft spot previously believed unreachable. 4 minutes in, the Chari predator tried to flee. The honey badger pursued. Bloodied and stumbling, the towering creature tripped on its own wounded limbs, collapsing into a tree. The badger leapt onto its snout and began tearing at its nostrils, sending the beast into a panicked, squealing frenzy. 5 minutes passed, then 6. The trial was over. Medical drones descended to retrieve the injured Chari predator, now unconscious and bleeding from over a dozen wounds. The honey badger, untouched, stood near the center of the arena, panting, its eyes still scanning for more enemies. In the silence that followed, Alina Ray's voice crackled across the council broadcast line. "We never claimed to be the strongest. We only claimed to be from Earth." And though no formal statements were made yet, though no policies shifted or treaties altered, every species in that chamber began to wonder, if that was just one of Earth's minor animals, what else did they have waiting? The honey badger licked its paw, sat down, and stared straight into the nearest camera, like it knew exactly what it had done. The silence in the grand hall after the trial was not one of reflection, it was of fear. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council, a body that had long regarded itself as the apex of civilization, was shaken not by weaponry or diplomacy, but by a creature no larger than a toddler and covered in scruffy black and white fur. Delegates whispered in uneasy tones, unsure whether they had just witnessed a glitch in reality or a glimpse into the darker underbelly of Earth's biological heritage. No one laughed this time. Ambassador Track of the Chari sat stiffly in his hoverpod, one arm in a medwrap. His species had engineered the defeated predator themselves, splicing together DNA from their deadliest indigenous creatures. It had been designed to be unkillable in close combat. It had never even been scratched in simulations. Now it lay comatose in a quarantine pod, its pride and flesh alike torn to ribbons. Dr. Alina Ray stood once more in the center of the chamber, her expression unreadable. She made no gestures, no smug declarations. She merely waited as the footage of the battle played on loop behind her. Each time the honey badger dove bit or tore, a collective shiver ran through the room. Chancellor Zeltharn cleared his throat, his voice barely above a whisper, and asked what many were now desperate to know. "Is that creature unique?" "No," Alina replied. "We have many such species. Some bigger, some smarter, some slower but far more venomous. The honey badger is simply persistent." The Jalari delegate floated uneasily in its orb. "Why has your species not eradicated them? Why haven't you modified your planet for control and order? Alina turned slowly toward the question. Because survival without struggle leads to weakness. On Earth, our creatures had to evolve not only to hunt, but to never give up. They were forged by chaos. Just like us. There it was. The true terror. Not the animal. Not the claws or fangs. But the implication that Earth's greatest monsters weren't just in the wild. They were sentient. The debriefing session that followed took place behind sealed doors, though rumors leaked within minutes. Alien biologists and tactical analysts pored over every second of the honey badger's behavior. They noted its rapid injury recovery, its immunity to venom, its loose skin allowing it to twist inside a predator's jaws. They labeled it functionally berserk, operating on instinct honed by eons of predation. The findings reached military channels within hours. Emergency threat-level protocols were updated across dozens of star systems. Earth's biological classification was upgraded from unstable primitive to Category 5 anomalous. A council-wide advisory warned member planets against unapproved terrestrial animal import. But the most alarming incident occurred not in the data vaults or the political chambers. It happened in the holding facility beneath the arena. The honey badger escaped. Security footage showed it gnawing through a containment cable, wriggling through a ventilation shaft, and disabling 2 automated tracking drones by smashing their sensors with a rocket found along the way. It disappeared into the biodome's simulated forest. Within minutes, every available squad on the moon base was mobilized. What followed was an embarrassment of galactic proportions. Trained military units, equipped with stasis rifles and thermal tracking, were outmaneuvered by a 14-kilogram animal. Dozens were injured, scratched, bitten, or simply humiliated as their weapons were evaded or ripped from their hands. One squadron commander was recorded shouting into his helmet mic, "It's just one animal. How is it everywhere at once?" Across the stars, the phrase became a meme. "It's just one animal." It echoed through holofeeds, comedy channels, and political forums. But for the Council's military brass, it wasn't a joke. It was a warning. After 12 hours, the honey badger was finally located and cornered near a geothermal vent. It had constructed a crude nest of tech scraps and branches, and was gnawing contentedly on the metal casing of a drone. When approached, it didn't run. It charged. Alina was brought in personally to de-escalate the situation. The animal recognized her scent and, after a moment of snorting and pacing, allowed her to scoop it up. Blood stained its fur, but none of it was its own. The trial was over. But Earth's message was only beginning. Back at the Council headquarters, the emergency review session began without ceremony. Delegates no longer ridiculed the idea of Earth as a defense ally. They debated its potential, some arguing that Earth's biology could be harnessed for combat enhancements, others demanding containment or embargoes to avoid a possible outbreak. Dr. Ray stood once more, the honey badger now calmly nestled in a transport pod beside her, gnawing at its restraints as though bored. "We are not offering threats," she said. "We're offering partnership. Earth has survived everything it ever faced. It adapted. We adapted. And that makes us useful." The room listened, silent. "Our planet has creatures that live after being disemboweled. Ones that freeze solid and thaw alive. We have apex predators that use tools. Others that mimic, stalk, or poison. But most dangerous of all are the ones who learned to cooperate, to build, to train." Ambassador Track, still bandaged and more sober than ever before, asked the question hanging in everyone's minds. "And what would happen," he said slowly, "if your kind began training these beasts? Controlling them?" Alina's gaze didn't waver. "We already do." No one spoke for a long moment. In the days that followed, the Galactic Council convened in secret to finalize their decision. Earth was granted a conditional military research alliance, limited in scope, closely monitored, but unprecedented in access. Teams of alien scientists were sent to Earth. In exchange, Earth received limited but advanced defensive technology and Council-grade medpack. But the real exchange wasn't technology. It was fear. The Council issued protocols banning unauthorized biological imports from Earth. Zoos and parks across the galaxy removed Earth species from their exhibit. Genetic scanning was mandated at all major ports. No one wanted another honey badger situation. Before departing the council chamber for the last time, Alina stopped just long enough to speak one final message into the Galactic press feed. The honey badger was small. A test case. But remember, on Earth, size doesn't make you safe. And it's not just our animals. We're predators too. Cooperative ones. Then she smiled. Back on Earth, in a remote African reserve, camera drones hovered over a vast enclosure. Inside, a group of honey badgers sparred under the watchful eyes of trainers. Nearby, wolves ran drills. A crocodile was being fitted with a neural monitoring implant. An octopus solved puzzle locks underwater. And in the background, a group of soldiers, humans, trained beside them, mimicking their speed, their instincts, their strategies. A new division was forming. In the final transmission sent back to the Council, 3 words flashed across the encrypted line. "We are ready."